You're listening to episode 3 of A Whole New You podcast. In today's show, we'll talk about reducing toxins in your home, and we'll give you simple swap out ideas for cleaning and personal care products. Welcome to A Whole New You podcast. I'm your co-host, Kim Maravich. I'm a registered nurse and author of the book 360 Health. I'm joined by my dear friend, Laurie Biddle, a health and wellness coach certified through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. Our show exists to inspire and empower women to take charge of their health with weekly tips and conversation about self-care, mindset, nutrition, fitness, and clean living. Please keep in mind that the material provided in this podcast is intended as general information only and should not be used as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. We're thrilled to have you here. Let's get to the show. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 3. This is our last episode for our launch day. We're so excited. On our launch day, January 15th, we're launching 3 episodes. And so you'll be listening to this hopefully on launch day or shortly after in January. But as we're recording, it's early in December and we can see some snow outside. It looks really pretty. We're in Laurie's house and all of her decorations are up and it looks so pretty. But we were just talking about how the weather and the climate is starting to dry out our skin. We feel like we need to hydrate. Just the air is so dry. So I'm sitting here looking at Laurie's gigantic water bottle and just so impressed that she's guzzling this thing down. How many ounces is it, Laurie?
So it's a 64-ounce stainless steel water bottle. It is really the butt of a lot of jokes, but I love it because it's pretty much a day's worth and I just carry it around with me all day, and I know if I've finished it, I've consumed my goal, and if I finish it early on in the day, I refill it a little bit and I feel really good about that. So yeah, this is the time of year that people stop drinking so much water because you're just not as thirsty. It's cold out, you're not in the heat and feeling like you need to drink, but it really does have a big difference, with your skin. The furnace is on, and like Kim was saying, we're drying out, and it's a really important time to hydrate. And it's also a big problem, with immunity in the winter. It's one of those things that factors in to just keeping you healthy, is making sure you're getting enough water throughout the day. So yeah, that's a huge water bottle that I just got. It's kind of a new thing, and I'm very excited about it. It's been working out well.
She has inspired me to try out some new water bottles too. Some of them are so expensive. I have one from Target that was probably $15, but it's only, I think it's like a 16 ounce. So I've been going to Five Below with my boys, taking them for little treats here and there, and they have these stainless steel water bottles. So I bought probably 2 over the last week, just trying them out. They're not 64 ounces, but they're 32. So I figured if I have a couple of those a day, then I'll be on my path towards hydration, just like Laurie. So this leads us into our episode. Today's episode is a continuation from last week's. Last week we did an episode, which actually, this is launching on the same day, but episode 2 was about detoxifying our bodies. And so today is sort of a piggyback off of that episode. We're going to be talking about ways to reduce toxins in your home and things that we can do to swap out some of those harmful ingredients that might be in cleaning supplies or personal care products. And so Laurie's going to go ahead and start and talk to us a little bit about what we can do to make that an easy transition.
So the journey to reducing toxins can actually be really overwhelming and paralyzing sometimes because you just don't even know where to start. So, as I tell my clients in all areas of life, we're not striving for perfection. We're never striving for perfection. Because if we do, we will completely drive ourselves crazy. But that being said, knowledge is power, and understanding what's in the products that we're using on our families and ourselves empowers us to make better choices and just knowing what to look for. So don't feel like, you need to replace everything at once. Again, that can be totally paralyzing and a waste of money because, what you currently have in your home, you already bought. And so my advice always is just use it until it's gone. And when it's time to replace something, just start looking for a greener option. And, it's all about decreasing exposure. You're not going to be able to eliminate every toxin from your life. That's just not even realistic. But every little thing that you do and every little change that you make really can help, because all those little things add up to have a really big impact, especially over time. So one of the things that I used as a tool, when I started this journey was right on my phone, the Environmental Working Group has an app. It's called Skin Deep. And I believe if you search it in the App Store, you just search EWG or Environmental Working Group, and you can find it that way. And it has a function that lets you scan a barcode. So you can go around to the items that you already have in your house and scan the barcodes and see how they rate. It gives you like a green, yellow, red rating. And then it also has a lot of good stuff that you can read as to, why it has that rating, getting into specific ingredients and some that are more toxic and some that are less. And, you can dig in that way, but it also just gives you that really nice quick indicator of red, yellow, green, which I loved that. Because the other thing you can do with it is take it into the store with you when you are ready to, replace an item, and just start scanning some of the things on the shelves. And, you don't want to be reading some big long thing at that time. So that's the point where that little red, yellow, green becomes, very, very helpful. So one of the things that I struggled with during this process, and I literally remember a day, standing in an aisle for probably an hour and walking out, not even buying anything, but just standing in the makeup aisle, at my local drugstore, trying to find an option, to replace a lot of the things in my makeup bag. And it was the biggest struggle for me. I've had luck with, detergent and hand soaps and, dish soap and cleaning products and even shampoos and conditioners. And those have been a little easier for me to find on the shelves using my Environmental Working Group app and, just finding some better options in the stores. But beauty products, as far as especially makeup, and a lot of times skincare too, they can be really challenging to find on the shelves. So Kim's going to talk to us a little bit about a company that has taken the guesswork out of, the beauty products and the frustration that I felt standing in the aisle for an hour scanning all these things that were just not going to work for me at that point. And this company's taken the work out of it, and you can trust what you're buying from them is going to be without certain things on the never list, which I think she's going to go over with us now.
Yeah, so we're talking about Beautycounter. And in past episodes, I shared with you that I am a Beautycounter consultant. And the reason I joined Beautycounter wasn't to become like a representative, like a consultant to make money, but it's because, as I mentioned before, I wrote a book, 360 Health, that has to do with cancer prevention. And unfortunately, there are so many personal care items that have potentially carcinogenic properties in them, or compounds, ingredients. And so it's scary. One of the things that I love about Beautycounter is that they do have a never list, as Laurie mentioned. And the never list involves products that will not contain any of these potentially harmful chemicals. So there are 10,000 chemicals found in personal care products, but only 10% have safety data. So the thing is with our government, and we're hoping that with Beautycounter helping, among other companies, to lobby Congress to change the standards, we're hoping that some laws will be placed to protect us as consumers. But just to give you a little comparison, the EU, the European Union, has restricted over 1,300 ingredients because of these potentially harmful chemicals. But the United States has only banned 11 And that's crazy, in my opinion. We are just so behind the times. And so we don't even know what are in our products. If you just go to a department store, a drugstore, unless you're really skilled at understanding what those ingredients are and you can actually pronounce them, you don't really know what you're putting on your body. There hasn't been a law passed in the United States since 1938, which again is so outdated. It's so behind the times. There just is not the regulation that we need. But Beautycounter, I talked about their Never list, they ban 1,500 questionable or harmful ingredients. So they have even surpassed what the European Union bans. So they've banned these, but it's also, their products are also ones that perform well, and they're luxurious, they are indulgent. So that not only are they banning these harmful things, but they also actually perform well, they're tested. So they kind of rival department store type skincare and makeup, but in their effectiveness, but we know that they are also safe. So that's one of the reasons I mention them and I want to stand behind them, is because it takes the guesswork out. If you need a moisturizer for your face, you can go to Beautycounter and that you're not getting any of these terrible ingredients. Of course, they have different lines and things, but their products range from skincare to makeup. They even have bath products and lines for kids. Like my kids like the shampoo and conditioner. So they have just various skincare lines, whatever your skincare needs are. If you have oily skin, you could get products for that. If you have dry skin, aging skin. So there's things for everything. So, and again, Laurie mentioned the environmental working group and the Skin Deep app. Beautycounter actually has the highest rankings with the environmental working group. If you go on the website or the app and you type in anything Beautycounter, it's going to be green, and they even have like their seal of approval, so that they're very clean. And you can use that app, of course, in stores to help you if you're buying something like at a drugstore or a department store. Not everything is in the app, though, so you have to be sort of like really well versed in knowing what the ingredients are, or harmful ingredients. And even with this Never list, of course, I can't memorize 1,500 ingredients. So even if I'm going to a store, I don't exactly know. It might say that it's clean or green on the label, but you're not 100% sure. You actually have to do some research. But just to put this in perspective, some of the harmful ingredients that you could look at home, this is a very short list, but things like parabens, you're going to see that in everything from skincare to even shampoos. Phthalates, petroleum is one, so that's like an oil or gasoline byproduct. But that could be found in things like chapsticks and Vaseline, if you think about that. Fragrance is a big one. There is no regulation for fragrance, so that might say fragrance on the label or perfume. Again, a lot of times that's coming from chemicals, unless it says it's scented with essential oils, which is something different. You don't know what that fragrance is. And so I know everyone wants to smell nice, but you have to be very careful. And just as an aside, that's a nice thing. Beautycounter, there are like skin lotions and soaps, they smell wonderful, but that they're not coming from these chemically induced fragrances. BPA is another one, and I think you've probably heard of that. We think about that with plastics, but that can be found in some skincare things too. Other things, PEG, sodium lauryl sulfate, or SLS, it kind of creates suds like in toothpaste and shampoos, but that has been linked to either be potentially carcinogenic or an endocrine disruptor. So you want to try to avoid those things. There are a lot of swap out products that you can find instead. Another one is triclosan. Triclosan is one that you see in hand sanitizers, and it is possible to find hand sanitizers that don't have that in there, but it's an antibacterial, and we just know that there are very virulent strains of bacteria that become antibiotic resistant, and so you kind of want to avoid antibacterials, not only the hand sanitizers, but the soaps. There's so many soaps that are antibacterial. And we know that you can remove bacteria from your hands just by washing. I remember when I was in nursing school, we did it was like a lab study, and we had to wear gloves, these plastic gloves, and the teacher had contaminated one of the gloves, and we had to shake hands with each other, and whoever had the contaminated hand passed along the germs, and like the last person in the list didn't have as many, but the second person had almost as many as the first. And so what we had to do, we tried out different soaps, and so once there was some contamination, we tried out different soaps in the classroom, and they found that there wasn't even one that was more effective than another. So whether it was antibacterial, it was the time spent washing your hands. So even if you were only using water, if you're just scrubbing your hands and doing that under running water, just the mechanical effect of scrubbing your hands is just as effective. So you don't have to use antibacterial soap. You can use a safer soap.
Yeah, and I guess that's why they tell our kids to sing a song. I know a lot of teachers say, sing a song while you're washing your hands, just so it kind of distracts them from rushing through it and taking the time to do it. So I loved hearing that story, Kim, and how, you guys in nursing school really kind of applied it to real life, because you got to stand there and wash them for a longer period of time. And kids are really guilty of a quick, throw some soap on, don't even rub it in, rinse it off, and off they go. So, I love that. On the line of lotions, while we're talking about that, me personally, one of the biggest changes I made early on was buying an enormous thing of coconut oil and slathering it all over my body. It replaced so many lotions that I was using. I probably had a lotion and potion for every area of my body. I had 2 children, one very large. So, I got the stretch marks going on. I've got the cellulite going on. I've got the wrinkles, you name it. So I really had a different cream for everything. And, it saved me some money, first of all, switching to coconut oil. And a very small amount goes a long way. And my skin's been really nice. That paired with my 64-ounce water bottle is a great way to, just avoid that dry skin. And I think I've heard, too, a lot of times, a lot of the lotions on the shelf, they're actually drying your skin out even more. And then you have to put even more lotion on. And, this I find with the coconut oil, I don't have any of that. And it feels really great, especially like after you just shave your legs, and you're in the nice steamy bathroom and put on a little bit of that coconut oil, and your skin is really smooth. So that to me was a huge change with just one simple thing. Now, it doesn't smell as lovely as some of the lotions that I had used in the past. And, my solution for that was just adding some essential oils, which also give you a lot of other benefits. There's some essential oils that are great for anti-aging, and some that are really good for inflammation. Two that I can think of off the top of my head are frankincense is a great anti-ager, and turmeric is a good anti-inflammatory, and that actually can be found, in an essential oil form as well. Now, those two are not the best smelling options. So, those are more for the benefits that your skin would be getting. But if you're looking for, that yummy floral smell, or even like a citrus smell, there's plenty of options there too. You have orange and lime or grapefruit that you could add if you're looking for citrus. If you want that nice floral smell, there's geranium, and lavender is always good. And then, jasmine's another one that smells really nice. So, you're also getting health benefits from that instead of, all the chemicals in a synthetic fragrance. And you're moisturizing your skin. It's just a win-win all around. Another area that the essential oils can be really helpful for are your cleaning products, because this is another one. When we clean our house, we want it to smell good. But, a lot of those chemicals and synthetic fragrances are, they cause a slew of health problems, from headaches to hormone imbalances, even, more serious things like allergic reactions and have been linked to, cancer. There's too many chemicals in our world today. Our bodies cannot handle it. So a really simple switch in this area too is getting an enormous thing of baking soda and an enormous thing of vinegar. And it doesn't get any cheaper than that, first of all. And, I understand that the vinegar it's not always the best smell. When I started cleaning with that, my husband would come home from work and just, say, I really feel like salt and vinegar chips. Like I'm smelling the way it smells in this house. And instead of like the clean, Mr. Clean smell he used to catch, it's vinegar. But that doesn't last forever. It's your whole house is not going to smell like vinegar, and it does a good job disinfecting. But I started adding in some essential oils to my cleaners as well. Some water, some vinegar, a few drops of lemon oil. You get a nice fresh smell, and you're cleaning without those chemicals. And lemon also is very uplifting, and it brings up your mood, so that's a win-win too. And then, for my wood, I would use a little bit of olive oil mixed with lemon oil. And, lemon oil also is like a natural Goo Gone. Just put that little note in there too. But yeah, lots of great uses for oils with cleaning and just getting those extra health benefits and getting rid of the chemicals. Another, brand that I like right off of the shelves is Seventh Generation. I like their products. They also have a lot of unscented options, which I buy their hand soaps and their detergent, and I add my own essential oils that I know are pure, and you get the scents and the benefits that way as well, and none of the chemicals. But if you look right on the label of Seventh Generation, you see right on there, we never include this. It's one of those things that they're pretty transparent with what's in their products. So I really like those, just to give you an idea of something that you could go in the store and buy. Dryer sheets are another one. They seem pretty harmless, and especially now with the furnace on, we need that static control. But I have replaced my dryer sheets, and this is going back a couple years now, with wool balls, and they are really great in the dryer. And you can also add essential oils to those to get that fresh smell that you got from your dryer sheets. And it also helps to kind of make your clothes softer. And some of my favorite oils to use in the dryer are lavender, especially on bedding. Like the days that I'm washing bedding, I always put some lavender on the roller balls or on the dryer balls when I throw them in. And, it just makes your bedding very calming when you go to sleep that night. And I also like grapefruit in the dryer. It's just fresh and clean, which we always like our laundry to have that fresh, clean smell, but not fake and synthetic. And, I really have found that change to be another one that was easy, and I really liked it. And my family adjusted to it very well also. So, and I did find my younger daughter would react sometimes to Tide back in the day. These things are right up against your skin. The detergent, the dryer sheets, all of that. It's leaving a residue on your clothes that's right up against your skin. Your skin's so absorbent. So you got to be, mindful of what you're using. And then one more thing that I just want to touch on, especially like Kim had said at the beginning, we are in like the Christmas season here, and it's a time that, we have all the scents of Christmas. So there's a lot of plugins and candles and things to kind of bring in those wonderful, heartwarming fragrances into our home. But what's happening, with these plugins especially, is they are releasing chemicals into your air all the time, 24/7, just in your house that you are breathing in. And it's very hard on your respiratory system. And as we talk about a lot, just all these chemicals are bogging down all of your systems, and they're just not able to perform and do the job that they're designed to do, and it leaves us more susceptible to illness and disease. So, the plugins and the candles, a good replacement for those, I go back to essential oils. There's so many different areas that they are useful for. And, even right now as we record this podcast, Kim and I've got some fur oils going in the diffuser, which smells like a big Christmas tree, but we're getting those nice grounding, calming, fighting overwhelm benefits of the oils. So, you still can have your smells, but instead of getting, some of the nasty side effects, you're getting health benefits instead. So for me, those have been some really great replacements. And just to recap, baking soda, vinegar, coconut oil, and dryer balls, like some simple things that you can implement right away, and it can just empower you to start to take action on some of these things.
Laurie's so right. She knows so much about essential oils, guys. She could talk for hours, and I could listen to her for hours because she knows so much. But there's a lot of good stuff with essential oils, but they do smell wonderful. I wish you could smell her house right now. As soon as she let me in this morning, I came to her house and I could just smell it. It just smells so calming and relaxing. But I just wanted to talk to you about a few other toxins that might be in your house. And this, of course, is not to scare you in any way. It's just to give you information. Because I think, if you can reduce as many toxins in your home as possible, then it's always a good thing, because we don't want to be burdening our bodies. But of course, we understand that you can't actually get rid of every single toxin in your house. But this is just to inform you and give you some ideas on ways to clear out what you can in your house. But one big thing, probably a lot of us have carpeting in our house. Carpeting, there are things called volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, and those are in things like carpeting and paint and varnishes, adhesives, in air fresheners, Laurie mentioned. So they're just released. They give off-gassing into the air. Now, if you're getting carpeting, of course, it's going to be, the off-gassing is the greatest in the first 72 hours. So you want to, if you are getting new furniture, for example, that has a lot of fibers, then you're going to want to, and you can smell it, of course. It's kind of like that new car smell, which actually smells so good. But you want to try to open the windows in those first 72 hours, just get some air flowing, crank up the fans. So, of course, we don't expect you to not have carpeting or paint in your house, but just be aware that when you are smelling things, and even if it does smell good, there is some off-gassing coming from those new things. They do sell low VOC paint that you can see. You can find those in stores, a greener kind of paint, so it wouldn't have that. Maybe it wouldn't smell as chemically when you first paint the walls with it. But again, opening those windows and doors is important. So just, using common sense. And again, if it's something that's irritating your lungs, you can be sure that it is inflaming your body to an extent. So your body's senses are there for a reason. Just trust them. So just look for, there's also a green label plus that you might find on paint. That's one way to know that that's a better or safer product. Also, I know our community has a hazardous waste collection. I think a lot of communities do. But if you are getting rid of paints, it's important to use a hazardous waste collection for that, because if you're just dumping it into a landfill, then all of that is being released into the environment. But if you're doing a hazardous waste collection, they know how to dispose of that properly so that it's not burdening, our bodies or our land by going in the wrong place. Another thing is dry cleaning. I know that, my husband uses dry cleaning because he has suits that have to be, and I certainly wouldn't know how to clean a suit myself, but he, the suits that have to be laundered are his dress shirts. So the thing with dry cleaning is that it may contain something called PERC, or PCE, which is known to be likely carcinogenic. Now, some safer dry cleaners or modern ones are moving away from using that. But I think rather than worrying too much about it, if you are using dry cleaning, as soon as you get the item back from the dry cleaner, try to take off that the plastic coating or the plastic cover that they put around. It's to protect your clothing. But what that's doing is it's holding the chemicals in. So if you can take off the plastic coating as soon as you get home, don't hang them in your closet with the cover on. Just take that off and let it air out. you could even put it, in a laundry room or on your back porch if it's a nice day, just to get rid of some of those odors. Also, radon is one that I really didn't know much about until we were buying our home. And as part of the inspection, we had a radon test done, and our realtor told us that our house had like the highest levels of radon she had ever seen. And it's a colorless, odorless gas. You have no idea if it's in your house. It's usually highest in the basement level and then gets lower, as the elevations of the house go up. But it was really like skyrocketing in our basement. So we had to have a radon system installed. And the reason I tell you that is if you live in an older home, it wasn't part of an inspection years back. And if you haven't purchased your home recently, you may have never been tested for radon. It's important that you know that you don't have radon in your house because it is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second to smoking, which is pretty scary. And it's something that could be around you in your environment without really knowing. There are radon kits that you can order online just for a small fee, and you just crack open the kit and you put it in your basement for, I don't know if it's 48 hours, and then you seal it up and send it in, and they can give you the levels of radon. And so if you did have a high amount, then you could contact a company that could help to remove the radon from your house. One thing, this is so basic, but it's important. I think sometimes we don't really think about this, but removing your shoes when you get into your house, I know in our house we do. And, a lot of times I think people take off their shoes because you don't want to track dirt in your house. I have 2 little boys who love to jump in puddles, and I don't want them tracking the dirt into your house. But if you've ever thought about, what are you walking on all day long? Think about all the places you go. There's a lot of dirt and bacteria and even pesticides. If you're walking through the grass and, someone's grass has been sprayed, you're gonna track all of that on your feet, and you go through all these public places. So it's a really good idea to just remove those, because you just want to leave those in one area of the house, maybe right off your garage or right by your front door, and leave them there, because you don't want them. Think about walking into your bedroom, which is like your sanctuary. You don't want to have your shoes in there and contaminating the floor. So that's one thing. Another is nonstick cookware. It's a little bit scary if you think about some of the Teflon coated pans. They're coated in something called PTFE or POFA. The Environmental Working Group recommends stainless steel or cast iron. And that's because these things can be off-gassed into the air from the Teflon. And also sometimes that nonstick surface can scrape off into your food as well, so you could really be ingesting that. They are endocrine disruptors and possibly carcinogenic, and that's according to the International Agency for Research on Cancer. So if you can invest in cast iron, or even just use stainless steel, like, I don't know, my mom and grandma always had stainless steel, then that's a good one. Did you want to say something?
I do, because I just made the switch. I've always had some stainless steel pots and pans, but I thought about 2 years ago, kind of when I started this journey and learning about all these things, I went out and bought a set. Actually, my grandma got them for me for Christmas at my request, of cast iron pots and pans. And they are a little different than your regular pan. You don't wash them with soap very often. They wash them out with some oil, pretty much. You use oil to get off grit. And, I just love everything cooked in them, because they kind of hold the flavor from different things that you've made in them. And you can do them on top of your stove, and you can also stick them in the oven. And I've just been having a lot of fun with these cast iron pans. Plus, I also have girls, and we have periods, and I think you lose blood. Yeah. Oh. So I like the idea of us getting a little bit of iron from our food, a little extra iron, because of these pans that I'm using. But yeah, just be aware, if you switch to some cast iron, you're going to have to get used to some different practices with taking care of them, but they're so very durable. You can use your stainless steel. I remember back with the nonstick, you had to use plastic or wood spatulas and spoons. These, you can use those nice metal stainless steel utensils, which you should be anyway, on your hot food with the plastic and the, all that stuff that we were kind of talking about with the non-stick pans. Now you can just take that metal spatula and scrape the bottom of it and do whatever you need to do without worrying about that. So again, there's some things to get used to that are harder and some things that make it a lot easier, but I've just loved them. They've been a fun little experiment.
Yeah, I need to get some because I still have like stainless. I actually do. Full disclosure, I have a couple nonstick pots, but yeah, like you said, you have to use plastic or wood so you're not scraping it. But I do have stainless steel too, and I like them. But I really would like to get some cast iron. I think that would be good, and I love that you can get some extra iron from them too. Yeah. Another thing in your house that you need to be wary of is the water that you're drinking. Ideally, and this would be the best case scenario, you would have a reverse osmosis system. And they can be expensive. You can get a whole house one, or you can get one for under your sink, and then you could drink right out of the tap. But that eliminates a lot of the contaminants that you see in tap water. Spring water is another great option. People actually, can go to springs and collect water that is pure, that you can drink from. And of course, it's hard to get pure spring water unless there's a spring nearby. It may be hard for you to find. I know, and I should have looked into this before our episode, but there is an app or, a website where you can look and find a spring that's closest to you. I'll try to find that, and maybe we can plug that into the show notes. But there is an app that you can find a local spring. Some others that I've heard of that are very good are the Berkey water filter. That's something that Berkey has a website, but you can also purchase those on Amazon. Those are really good quality filters. That one would sit on your kitchen counter, as would the AquaTrue. These are countertop. So you would just take water from your tap and pour it directly into there, and it filters out all of the yucky contaminants. But again, some of these can be really, really pricey. So I think more than anything, you don't want to really, especially if you have, city water, you don't want to be drinking right out of the tap. It's clean in the sense that you're not going to get cholera or some kind of terrible bacteria. But tap water typically contains things like chlorine and fluoride and even antibiotics. There's, medication, traces of it that can be in there. So drinking tap water is really not your best option. But I always just say, just get whatever kind of filtration you can afford and that is convenient for you, works for you. So if it's from your refrigerator, then great. If you want to get a Brita, that's better than nothing, of course. The other thing is drinking from plastic water bottles. So even though inside, it'll say on some water bottles, it'll say that they're reverse osmosis. So essentially it was filtered and it would be great, but now it's in the plastic bottle. And so we just have to be careful because plastic bottles do have BPA, which we know is an endocrine disruptor. And sometimes they can have other contaminants too. So it's probably not your best option. If you're in a pinch and you're out, then of course, you just don't want to leave a plastic water bottle in your car because the heat interacts with it and releases more chemicals. So you just want to make sure you're keeping that cool and away from heat. But I think, again, the clear message is just whatever filtration method is easiest for you that you can find, then do that. And also, just drink as much water. We talked about Laurie's gigantic 64-ounce water. And the reason is because you're flushing toxins out when you're drinking. And so even if you wouldn't be removing every contaminant from water, it's still allowing your body to flush contaminants. So you are detoxifying merely by just drinking a lot of water. So I guess like the rule of thumb that we always hear is drink half your body weight in ounces. That's at the minimum. So just drink as much as you can. 64 ounces, like Laurie is has in her water bottle, that would be a perfect amount. I think probably for both Laurie and I with our stature and our body size. If you're a man, you might have to drink even more than that. But it's just a good idea to drink as much water as possible. One last thing I wanted to talk about are cell phones. Now, cell phones are, in the scope of our society, they're a relatively new thing. And they really haven't been around long enough to have really conclusive testing results. But with each new generation of phones that come out, we go from 4G and we're potentially looking, into 5G. And we're not exactly sure what all the radiation is doing. And there's some conflicting advice also. The World Health Organization, or the WHO, has classified them as possibly carcinogenic. That was their ruling in 2011. But the FDA, CDC, and the National Institute for Environmental Health don't believe that cell phones cause cancer. And here's why. Cell phones do, as of right now, they give off non-ionizing or electromagnetic radiation, which is considered to be low energy. So if you're thinking about things like a CAT scan, that would give off a lot of more of an ionizing radiation, this is considered low. However, if you're just wanting to protect yourself, there have been some links, as an aside, with brain cancer. I don't know that it proved causation, but there have been links. So nevertheless, I certainly don't want to develop brain cancer. So the things that you can do with your cell phones, and I'm sure you know these, but we'll just review them. Texting, of course, is a great option. You're not holding it up to your ear. Just taking that cell phone away from your ear. If you're talking on the phone, using the speaker is better. They also have wired headsets. So like if you have an iPhone, maybe it came with Apple earbuds, you can plug that in. Although I just got a new iPhone and the earbuds don't plug in. So we had to buy an adapter. Of course, they want you to buy all the extra gadgets. So we had to buy an adapter for it to actually plug in. It plugs in actually the same place as the power charger. I have a new iPhone. It's an XR or 10R. So you're just wanting to make sure that that's staying away. I think even sometimes the Bluetooth has been known to give off a little bit of radiation. So just keeping those away from your body. If you're a man and you carry it in your pocket, as soon as you get somewhere, take it out of your pocket and place it on the table just so it's not really close to your body. I've also heard about women. I think I watched a show on Dr. Oz. There was a woman they interviewed who had carried her cell phone in her bra, and in the exact spot that she was carrying her cell phone, she developed breast cancer in that area, and it was like kind of almost in like the outline of the phone. So just keeping it away from your body is a good thing. And if you can keep them away from your bed at night, that's good for a host of reasons. You're not getting that radiation, but also sometimes like the blue light that comes off of the phone just can interfere, and the Wi-Fi signals too can interfere with your sleep. So if you can, keep it away from your bed or turn it off if you're able to, and just use a regular alarm clock. So that's kind of what we have for you as far as trying to reduce toxins in your home. That was a pretty comprehensive list. Do you have any final thoughts that you wanted to say about anything, Laurie?
I guess just that this goes back to what we were talking about last week. We gave you some ways to detox your body, and this is, just digging in a little deeper and helping you maintain that. Like especially if you do like a cleanse or a short-term detox, you want to be implementing some of these things around your home so that you're maintaining that, and just really, really good things to be aware of.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, so that's it for this week. For more from Kim, go to kimmaravich.com. For more from Laurie, go to simplyempoweredllc.com. If you have a question for us or you want to leave a comment or anything, you can email us at contact@awholenewyoupodcast.com. We've also created a Facebook community. You're welcome to join that. We hope that will be a community where we can inspire each other and ask questions in a safe space. And that is called A Whole New You Podcast Community. So go ahead and find us on Facebook. And if you would be so kind as to leave us a review in iTunes, we'd greatly appreciate it. Have a great week.